second session of IPR, we are going to study about what is biopiracy. At nowadays, biopiracy is one of the most important area in which work is going on. That how we should protect the biopiracy. As we all know that in present
screen नहीं आ रही आपने करी
that all the genetic resources and all the resources which is available among the countries within the countries should be protected, and this should be protected with the help of biopiracy. What actually biopiracy is? Basically, if we study about biopiracy, then we can know that biopiracy means patenting life or to protect the biological organism to get the unwanted use of those biological organisms, whether it will be plants, whether it will be microorganisms, or whether it will be animals. One of the most important aspects in biopiracy is the protection of genetic material, whether it should be from plant or it should be from animal or it should be from any other biological resources that have been identified or developed. Okay? Or it should be owned by any company or manufactured through patent. As we have studied in previous lecture, we get that the living forms can be patented. So if we can patent a living form, that means that the product or the secondary metabolite or the planty body of a particular plant material or the genetic resources of particular plant or animal material should be protected by a certain company, and that particular company can use that particular thing. One of the most important aspects in biopiracy is the traditional knowledge and genetic resources of a particular country. You can see I will discuss about some case studies of biopiracy later in this lecture. You have heard a very important topic about patenting of haldi, patenting of neem, as well as patenting of basmati rice by other countries. As the importance of neem, importance of haldi, importance of tulsi has been predefined in our Vedas. So this will come under the biopiracy. In short, collection of genetic material are usually taken without prior consent. Nowadays, you can see that all the mega biodiversity countries which are present in the world, they are either undeveloped countries or underdeveloped countries. So they don't have lot much of research resources, so they can utilize them for doing the research. So what developed countries have done, developed countries have taken the genetic resources of the poor countries or undeveloped countries and utilize those genetic resources, make the production of certain type of economically important compound from them, and then sell that particular compound at higher price in the native country from where they are taking the genetic resources. Do you think it is right? It is absolutely wrong. Why it is wrong? Because a particular plant or a particular animal or a particular genetic resource is a native of a particular country from where it should be originally taken, and the benefit which we are getting from it can be brought back to us at a higher rate. So it is important. There is a conservation of biological diversity CVD in Rio de Janeiro in 1990, which can undergo the equitable sharing of genetic resources among the developed and developing countries. So there should be a proper or equitable sharing among genetic resources between the country who are involving in research or who are taking the genetic resources of one country to the another country. So biopiracy, what all comes under the biopiracy? If we talk about biopiracy, is illegal appropriate of live microorganism, plant and animal, including humans. An important thing is the traditional cultural knowledge that accompanies it. You know that haldi, tulsi, neem, they have been traditionally used by Indian Ved, or it should be written in the Vedas of India that they are having certain type of aseptic, antibiotic activities. So this is pre-existing, pre-written. Okay, it is illegal because in violation of international conventions and corresponding domestic law, it does not recognize, respect, or adequately compensate the rightful owner of life form appropriated for the tradition. Suppose it is written somewhere that a particular plant has particular economic importance. and if you want to get protection for it, you cannot get it. So it is considered as the biopiracy. Knowledge related to the propagation, use and commercial benefit, it also comes under the violation of biopiracy. If we look about the history of biopiracy, then we will see that 3,500 years ago, Egyptian ruler began bringing plant home after military expeditions. Suppose they will go somewhere for fight, so they can take the plant from that particular country. In the last century, the British Empire instituted regular plant collections during the voyage of beagles. You can heard about Charles Darwin simply took what interested him and brought to the home. The Royal Botanical Gardens took rubber trees from Brazil and planted them in South Asia. They took cinchona seeds from Bolivia in violation of national law and planted them in India. So these are certain type of cases which can be occurred previously worldwide. The most recent during the mid 20th century, Richard Schultz was able to befriend local shamans who allowed him to collect thousands of voucher of a specimen of medicinal plants, hundreds of which have never previously been identified taxonomically. They will even take those particular plants which are not taxonomically identified. So it is very easy for him to get taxonomically identified in their own country and then can use for pharmaceutical uses, and these plants are economically very important. So here you can see that all the developed countries, all the scientists of developed countries are exploiting the genetic resources or plant animal microbial resources of undeveloped or underdeveloped countries, which are not having the adequate amount of research practices. So if we can see about types of biopiracy, it is basically of two types. One is genetic resources biopiracy, one is traditional knowledge. Genetic resources biopiracy includes all the type of livestock which is present in the country, whether it will be animal, whether it will be plant, whether it will be microorganism, or it will be anything which is having the living entity. Whereas another category is traditional knowledge. You can see the picture Yamla Pagla Divana part 2. In this you can see that there is a Vajra Kavach, which is a traditional medicine of a particular Aushadhalaya, and he will give it this particular traditional medicine free to all the persons. But one company, one Indian company can take that particular traditional medicine and commercialize it. So these types, this comes under the case of biopiracy. And you can see in that Vajra Kavach company, that Aushadhalaya has won the case. Okay, so this is the clear example of how biopiracy takes place in the country. So there are certain famous cases: Kawa in Fiji and Vanuatu, quinone in Andes, banana and other medicinal plant in Philippines, bitter gourd in Thailand, ylang in Philippines, neem in India, rosa prinkle in Madagascar. So these are the cases where the countries, without the permission of other country, can use the genetic resources of a particular country and can get benefited from that. So why there is a need to stop the biopiracy? Because of the patenting of biological material, the locals of the affected country would have less, if not none at all, access to those development which is possibly their original idea or discovery in the first place. You can see that suppose there is a particular plant and the particular persons living in a particular area are utilizing those plants for various type of treatment or for various type of activity. Suppose some country has taken that plant and get patent for that particular type of activity. Now for the person of that particular area have to pay for using particular type of plant and getting particular type of activity. So you can see that it is a direct loss of the community of a particular area. Those who are granted the patent would have, you all know that if a particular person can get patent, he can get the exclusive right and therefore raise the prices of that particular product. So there is a clear requirement to stop the biopiracy. Now a particular person can get the license to the patent owner can get the license for the production. So they can what they can do, they can produce that particular thing and they can sell that particular thing at higher prices. This can have a large impact on livelihood of those concerned. So this will impact on the livelihood of the particular person who are living in the particular area. Previously, they are free to use that particular product. Now they have to pay pay high amount to use that particular product. And this is the source of income for those persons. Now they have to pay for that. So, now the patent holder can prohibit the farmer from breeding such plant and animal variety as they are having the sowing right for that because they are getting the patent. As the patent owner benefit from the information or material that they don't actually own, the indigenous people who have long been developing the cultivating those resources get nothing. So the patent owner can get all the things, and the previous persons who are having the traditional knowledge or who are the native of that particular genetic resources, native country of that particular genetic resources, they don't get any particular type of benefit. They do not have the choice unless knowledge of the material has been proven traditional and the patent has been cancelled. So what they can do, so they can file a suit and they can prove that that particular thing, that particular discovery or invention is the traditional knowledge of that particular area or is the genetic resources of that particular area. Only in that particular case they can get the access for those particular products. So what actions have been taken against the biopiracy? There is a prospecting prospect that comes under CBD, conservation of biological diversity. More than 200 countries have signed this particular treaty that they cannot illegally take the genetic resources of one country to another country to minimize the detrimental effect of biopiracy and to legalize such transitions where there is so-called bioprospection contract. With this contract, economic income or royalties will be provided to local community concerned by the patent owner, generating earnings. So what happens in this, you can see that if a particular company can take the genetic resources or traditional knowledge of particular area of particular country, then and can get benefit, then this benefit can be equally shared among the company and the people owing that particular traditional knowledge or the people of that particular area. Now you can see that contract has been made, but the fairness of this contract is now being a debate, because you can see that the big companies are not easily big companies cannot easily share their benefit. So so this particular thing is now in debate that how we can give direct benefit to the farmers, to the particular person who are in the particular area from which the traditional knowledge or genetic resources can be utilized. For this, there are certain patent laws. In the United States, patent law is used to protect isolated and purified compounds that were newly discovered and invented. So, patent is the exclusive right given to the person so that others will be prohibited in making, using, or selling the invention. One common misunderstanding is that pharmaceutical companies patent the plant they collect, while obtaining the patent on naturally occurring organism is not possible. Patents may be taken out and specific chemical isolated or developed from plant. As you can see that I have told you that discoveries are not patent. Suppose you can get a particular plant from a very tropical forest area, you cannot get patent for the plant. But if you can extract a particular pharmaceutical or nutraceutical or bioactive compound from that particular plant, you can get patent from that particular for the particular product, rather than you cannot get patent for a particular plant, because plant is naturally occurring. It is a discovery rather than the invention. So this is one of the most important convention which helps the undeveloped or underdeveloped countries to protect their genetic resources. In 1993, Convention on Biological Diversity (CBD), it takes place in Rio de Janeiro, establishes sovereign national rights over biological resources and commit member countries to conserve them, develop them for sustainability, and share the benefit resulting from use. So in 1993, after the incorporation of CBD, these things became some regular. Sustainable use of biological resources means finding new drugs, crops, industrial products, while conserving resources for future studies. Sovereign right would be tempered by providing access to genetic resources in exchange for a share of benefit, including access to biotechnology. Here, one important aspect is that CBD, that particular CBD is very important. Why? because during the transboundary movement of genetic resources, suppose we can export or import certain biological material from one country to another country. So it is very important that we have to take prior permission, and there should be, for transboundary movement, prior permission is required, and we have to and that particular thing have to have a license for selling or purchasing of that particular biological or natural resources, and it has been checked that there is no particular type of contamination during this. You all know that we have imported wheat from America during the period of emergency, and we can see that Parthenium grass come along with the wheat variety. And this Parthenium grass is nowadays very allergic in activity, and it can harm the Indian citizens. So nowadays, during the transboundary movement, it has been maintained that there is not any type of contamination during the transboundary movement. Next is examples of biopiracy. There are two case studies of biopiracy which we have studied here. One is neem, another one is turmeric. So you all know that botanical name of neem is Agenetica indica. You all know that neem is antibacterial, antiparasitic, antifungal, antiprotozoal, and antiviral activity. Protection from all the microorganisms which are always ready to invade in our body, causing serious ailments. The neem tree is indigenous to the Indian subcontinent and part of South and Southeast Asia. What happened now? You all know about neem. Neem is having antibacterial, antiparasitic, antifungal, antiprotozoal, and antiviral activity. Neem tree is indigenous, as you all know. In 1994, there is a multinational corporation named W.R. Grace, and US Department of Agriculture was granted a patent by EPO, European Patent Organization, covering a special method for controlling fungi on plant by aid of hydrophobic extracted neem oil that is diluted with a certain percentage of water. What simply they can take? They can take the neem oil, they can dilute it with water, and they are saying that this particular thing can be used to decrease the fungicidal effect in the plant. What happened? The member of European Parliament of Green Party, joined by the Research Foundation for Science, Technology and Natural Resources Policy from India, the International Federation of Organic Agriculture Movement based in Germany, filed an opposition to this patent. Okay. The opponent claimed that fungicidal effect of hydrophobic extract of neem was known and used from centuries on a broad scale in India. इस चीज को तो बहुत पहले से इंडिया में यूज किया जा रहा है, and both in traditional medicine to fight human skin fungi and in agriculture to protect crop. Humans में भी इसको यूज किया जा रहा है skin के infection में, और agriculture में भी यूज किया जा रहा है. The opponent also claimed that the invention lacked the two major patentability requirements. Now you can see it is very important. Two major, there are in novelty, innovativeness. Invention is the most important aspect for getting patent for any particular thing. So there is no novelty as it is the traditional knowledge, and it has been pre-known by the Indians, and it has been used from many centuries by India, and there is no inventiveness there. EPO withdraw the patent grant in 2000, finding it lack of novelty. So they cannot get the patent for neem plant. Another case study is turmeric. Botanical name is Curcuma longa. In Ayurvedic medicine, turmeric has been used for anti-digestion, and Ayurvedic medicine, turmeric has been used to aid digestion and liver function, relieve arthritis pain, and regulate menstruation. Turmeric has also been applied directly to the skin for eczema and wound healing. Today, turmeric is used for conditions such as heartburn, stomach ulcers, gallstones. It also used to reduce inflammation as well as prevent and treat the cancer. अब क्या हुआ? 1995 में US पेटेंट ऑफिस ने granted two Indian nationals at the University of Mississippi for the method of promoting healing of wound in a patent. उन्होंने क्या काम करा? उन्होंने पेटेंट ग्रांट कर दिया कि हल्दी से वुंड की हीलिंग करी जा सकती है by administering a wound healing agent consisting of an effective amount of turmeric powder. Simply turmeric powder use करा. The patent applicant recognized the traditional use of turmeric in India, but claimed that they had the first who administered. पूरी दुनिया को पता था कि टर्मरिक का इस्तेमाल किया जाता है, लेकिन उसने क्या क्लेम करा कि he was the first person to administer that turmeric can be used to heal the wound. What happened? This patent was challenged by CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research in India, in '96 on the ground of prior art. Now we have already studied about prior art. Now there are three terms: prior art, inventive step, invention, state of art. In the re-examination process, CSIR claimed that the turmeric has been used from thousands of years for healing wounds and rashes, and therefore its medicinal use was not novel. The US Patent Office upheld this objection and revoked the patent, and it's entirely in April 98. It is based its decision on the ground of lacking novelty and obviousness of the invention. So so here by these two case studies, you better understand that we can that how the developed countries are utilizing the genetic resources of undeveloped or underdeveloped or hotspot countries, and they can cheat those. By this, they can cheat. So here you can, by these two cases, you can very well understand that obviousness, novelty, inventive step, distinctiveness, uniformity, stability, all these things are required at very high level to protect our genetic resources. So biopiracy, if not stopped, will continue to erode the biological genetic resources of the developing countries, as well as denying them fair and equitable benefit derived from their losses. So you can see that we have already studied it, we have already discussed it, that if we cannot stop the biopiracy, then this biopiracy will have very harmful effect on the countries which are very rich in genetic resources, but they don't have adequate amount of research facilities to undergo research and to produce certain commercially important aspects from their own genetic resources. But nowadays, CBD can make sure that if any developed country can utilize the genetic resources of developing countries or undeveloped countries, then there should be proper or equitable benefit sharing. There is a need to strengthen the policy, institutional and legal framework in the developing country, particularly those in Southern Africa, which to date have no national legislation on these things. So you can see that a lot of genetic diversity is present in African countries, as all the tropical, subtropical rainforests are present in those countries. You know that one of the only developed country which is considered as mega biodiversity country is Australia. Rest all countries are either undeveloped or they are underdeveloped. India is also one of the mega biodiversity countries. ABS legal regime should be flexible and tailored, made to be particular country needs. There is nothing, as you can see that it should be modified according to the country, according to the needs and required of country, and according to the traditional knowledge of that particular country, according to the people who are involved, the skill which is involved by a particular person or a particular country. Use of capacity building training module on policy and law for biological genetic resources. You know that there are certain type of genetically modified organism center. One is in Mysore, one is in Pantnagar, where these types of study, where first of all you have to undergo the sample checking and all those things before there should be a transboundary movement or import or export of genetically modified organisms, genetic resources, plants, animals, microorganisms, and all those things. So it is very important nowadays that we should know about biopiracy as a part of other type of piracies, such as copyright piracy of Copyright Act. You know that nowadays there are many pirated products, pirated CDs which are available in the market, which should violate the law of copyright. Nowadays you can see that even a 10 rupees Colgate paste stick consists of a barcode, and that barcode will prove the authentication of the product. Nowadays piracy is very common in all field of commercial aspect. There are pirated CDs are available. You can see that pirated mobiles are available. Even there are lot of pirated things which are available in the market nowadays. A true copy of watches are available in the market. That's also come under the piracy. So there are certain. So all these things, trademark, copyright, patent, nowadays they are used, they are utilized to decrease the piracy or to increase the authenticity. You all know that if there is piracy, then it is very important to authenticate our product. Suppose there are 10 products in the market and a particular consumer can utilize which is the perfect product. So the company who are producing the good quality product should have some authentication mark on their product, so one can easily distinguish that a particular product is from a particular company or not. So by these measures we can stop the piracy at all level, and we can also stop the biopiracy in the current environment. So thank you all. Now if you have any questions, then you can ask from me.